Mexico drew 0-0 with Uruguay and lost 2-1 to Paraguay in the November international window. And of course, me and Andres have to talk about it today with you guys. But before we get into it, let us know your opinions on Mexico's November international window in the comments down below. And make sure to subscribe if you guys want more Mexican football content in English. But first, Andres, before I get to my opinion on this window, which I will admit is going to be somewhat harsh, let's get your take on this first. Wearing the Mexico kit, wearing the Mexico glasses and all. How did you feel about this November window?
Let me tell you something.
Oh my God, he took them off.
The glasses are gone.
Oh,
the glasses are gone. I wear those when I'm hyped. Look, there's nothing positive. I'm a positive guy. I try to be. Yeah, you want to know something positive? Mora. That's the only positive.
I knew
That's
it.
the only
I was
positive
gonna say.
thing. That guy is oozing class. He's got his bandaged wrist. Let me tell you something. Oozing class.
Okay.
That's about it. That's the only positive you can really get from this. I mean, the Leon Stadium looked cool, I guess. I mean, it looked nice grass. I mean, I don't know what else other positive you can get. Yeah, that's about it.
That bad?
It was that bad. I wasn't too mad about the performance against Uruguay. I really wasn't.
Me too.
I was generally
I would say Mexico were the slightly better team than Uruguay even. But
no, I thought we outplayed them. I was like, okay. I was like, I could back this. I was like, yeah, we didn't score. Granted, we're missing some attackers, so I was like, okay, a little lenient, but we had some good chances. And I was like, defensively, we were pretty solid. So I was like, okay, not bad. Our midfield didn't get overrun. And I was like, cool, that's something to build on. And then you string to the second game, and a certain other team also played Uruguay. I'm not going to say it, who. And then you see the scoreline. And then you go, man, are we really that shit? There's no way, Uruguay just playing a lesser team. You know what I mean? Like sometimes just teams are better on certain days. And then you watch the Paraguay game. And then you think, oh yeah, we're really that shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. The fans are turning against the players. The players are against the fans. Our manager, I don't know what he's doing anymore. He's there. He's there. He's vibing. Let me tell you, he's vibing. Collecting that paycheck. I wanted to grab a positive. I really did. I had my positive notes taken from the Uruguay game. I was ready to go. And then the Paraguay game happened, and it just took everything out of commission. The only positive in both games is Mora. I can't even talk about Vargas that much because he only played 20 minutes. Yeah. So he looked great when he was on. I can tell you that much. Marcel Ruiz, midfield looked decent with him in there. He actually showed up. So, it was one of the players I mentioned that needed to show up in this one. I thought he played decent. Compared to his last ones. And then that's the only positive. I have a lot of negatives, but I'm gonna let Elijah kick us off. But there's a lot of negatives and a lot of concerns going into it. Obviously, we haven't won a game yet since the Gold Cup. So that's pretty concerning, especially if you look at another team's results, if you're looking for comparisons. But it's concerning. There's a lot of things happening, and I'm not naming other team because I don't want to deal with Elijah's ego at the moment.
You told me before the video to don't bring up the USA, and you brought up the USA.
You knew it was gonna happen. It always happens.
It
always happens. Well, I didn't bring it up because I said another team. I didn't say who.
We all know who you're talking about.
Our neighbors up north. I could be talking about someone in this current country we live in at the moment. You never know.
We know you're talking about Mexico. Though this video is about Mexico, so let's keep it on Mexico. Mexico fucking sucks. That is what this November window told me. Now, I'm sorry, and
sure, Dakota, why don't you?
There might be someone watching that who just got pissed off and is going to the comment section right now and is telling me, what are you talking about? Mexico sucks right now. This is a bad Mexico team. This team, the player pool that Mexico has right now, or at least that the player pool that El Vasco wants to use, is bad. It is very clear. And every window, we see the exact same problems that have seemingly zero remedy. And if they do, this team is not capable of finding that remedy, or El Vasco isn't either. There are so many issues with this Mexico team. And let's cover some of them real quick. The winger situation, horrible. And I thought Ruvalcaba, and I really wanted a good window from Ruvalcaba because he's local to us. He's from Southern California. He's from Rialto, in fact. I really want a good window. It is so clear that he is not at the level of this team. And that says a lot because, again, this team fucking sucks. You got Piojo on the other side. You still got Chucky in there. It doesn't bring inspiration, and they don't inspire goals, good attacks. They can't do it. Now, you might sit there and say, oh, Gino Huerta's gone. Oh, Quiñones is gone. Vega's gone. None of those players come into this team and change the attack. None of those players. They are the best of this shit player pool, and that doesn't mean that they're good. Now, they are better than what Mexico had right now. Yes. None of them, though, do what this attack needs them to do. Now, we look at that midfield, right? And this was supposed to be, oh my God, El Vasco brought in the midfield. Let's play him. Let's test these young guys out. Mora, Ruiz, Vargas, no Montiel, of course, so on and so forth. And what does he do? He gives Mora game time, but you're chasing to go against Paraguay and you take Mora out. That was a little bit confusing. You're still starting Eric Lira with them. You bring in Eric Sanchez for some reason instead of Obed Vargas. You have Marcelo Ruiz, who, I would be honest, a little bit of a tiny positive. It's not that he was fine this window. And I feel like we've been critical of him in windows past. I thought he was fine. He was fine. He was good. He was good enough. And that is a win. But that midfield should have been amazing. And it just wasn't set up in the right way. And then you go back. Why is Edson playing center back in November 2025?
That makes no sense.
I don't know what makes sense.
I love Edson. I really do. But he is atrocious he's a liability as a center back, and we saw that blatantly in the Paraguay game.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's an amazing CDM. And why he's an amazing CDM is because he's able to cover ground, and he's also has backup behind him. So when there's runs behind, the center back picks him up. It's very simple. And Edson, unfortunately, as much of a leader is, as much of an important player he is, as much of a great player he is for Mexico, he is not a center back, and he hasn't played center back since America. It's that simple, and it's been years. It's been years. He hasn't played center back since America. It doesn't work. We get smacked anytime he does, and it's brutal. And that back line, that second game was atrocious. That game was. You could go down to the keeper. Once again, you can, but it was Orozco was his partner, I believe, was on the left center back,
who got subbed out at the 60th minute for Johan Vasquez.
I remember talking about when the squad got announced, I was hoping he could make a statement here. Maybe it's possible a good rotational, and he sucked. And I think Israel Reyes kind of solidified himself this past window. I would say as a right back. The only problems with Israel Reyes, he is not an attacking option.
Oh my God,
you can't. I'm sorry. Yes, in terms of footballing analysis and tactically speaking, yes, he has to go up to join the attack. But he is in no way, shape, or form.
Doesn't do it well.
No, he can't do it. He doesn't have it in his locker, which is fine because realistically, that man's a center back. Realistically, he's a center back. But he's better on the right back at the moment. At right back, he just can't whip a ball in, and he can't take someone one-on-one. I can't believe I'm saying this. At least Jorge Sanchez could take someone one-on-one.
That is the state of Mexican football, is that we're promoting Jorge Sanchez.
I think Huesca's getting injured. It was such a shame. You'd have Mateo Chavez on the left, Huesca's on the right, and that was your beautiful back line because you have Montes and Vasquez.
For years.
Once again, Montes is, I know this is the best center back pairing, but Montes is such a liability. At times, like realistically, the Uruguay game, it was definitely a penalty. There's no doubt in my mind that was a penalty. I don't know why he would dive in. Once again, Uruguay should have a red card on Mora for the high boot on the calf. Obviously, that's a straight red. I've been saying it for a while. I don't think Montes is that good. I think Vasquez just covers for him a lot. So once Vasquez goes down like he did a couple international windows ago, you see Montes struggle a lot because Vasquez does cover for him quite a bit. I don't even know why he keeps playing Edson back there. There's no good combination that's going on there. Edson is a CDM, a true CDM, and that's what you got to go with going forward. And then goalkeeping situation just got a hell of a lot worse. It was bad going into this international window.
Worse in what way? Because to me, we
tried two different keepers. It's none of them. It's none of them. It's neither of them. I wasn't convinced by either. I know you don't like me bringing up a choice, but at least you know what you're gonna get. There is some stability back there. You know he's going to command the team, and you know what you're going to get. These two, you have no idea what you're going to get. Rangel is the most inconsistent keeper. Sometimes he had a good game against Uruguay. You could say he was like, okay, that was a good game. Maybe pushing for that spot, and then he'll play again, and he'll have an absolute shocker. Dude, it's
what I'll
so
say
bad.
for the keeper situation is I think Rangel, and from what I can tell, is a lot of people think the same way online, is that Rangel's number one right now. And that's fine. Malagon can be too. Malagon I mean, and real quick to talk about that Paraguay game, Mexico could have lost like 3 or 4 there. If it wasn't for Malaga in the second half, he had some good saves. I will give him that. I still think that Angel's number one.
That's the
Either
thing,
way,
though,
though,
is like
is
he had
you.
good saves, but I expect him as a professional goalkeeper, like to make those saves at the same time.
Well,
And they
I
were hit
mean,
right at him as well. Like, yeah, it was big time saves, but realistically, like I'm expecting a keeper at that caliber level to make those saves.
yeah, no, 100%. And that's how shit this goalkeeper situation is. I mean, whoever is right now is you're just waiting for Ochoa for from the U20 team. None of these keepers we're going to be seeing in the 2030 World Cup. It is unfortunate because Mexico has to deal with them right now, so we're going to be seeing at least one of them, and I think it's going to be Angel. But it's obviously you're waiting for Ochoa from the U20.
You put him in now. I'm sorry, but you gotta
Or you put him
change
in
it
now.
up. You gotta change. Like realistically, you got Acevedo, Padilla, and then you give Ochoa a shot. Like genuinely, you bring those 3 in. Who gives a shit? They're friendlies now, right? Clearly, we're not winning games here, and we got some tough opposition coming up. We got to play Portugal going into the next few international windows. That's going to be tough. You know, even though we lost to Ireland, but Ireland's on a
It's Portugal. It's
different
Portugal.
level. Ireland's on a different level. They're on cloud 9 right now. You can't play Ireland and win. Unfortunately, just I look at the Irish. But look, you bring those 3 in, just see what happens. There's no shame in trying something different because clearly he's tried. Aguirre's tried different things, except the goalkeeping situation. He has yet to bring in 3 different new keepers, and there's no harm. There's literally no harm to see how they do. I think Ochoa would do decently well. He looked very good in the U20 World Cup, and I had no complaints from him. He made some big time stops, and it's just there's no shame, there's no harm in putting him in a game a half. Just put him in a half. You know what? Make a substitution a half. See what happens, or maybe give him 20, 30 minutes. See what happens. You know, it's just one of those things where it's just. You got to try something different because clearly it's not working. And he's tried different things. He's changed the formation. He had Mora as a left winger who played as an inverted winger who was helping out in the midfield. That shit didn't work. I mean, our striking situation is even also dreadful because Raul's out of form. He was dreadful against Paraguay. Yes, he scored a penalty, but other than that, he consistently gave the ball away. I just don't know what to do, where to go from this with the player pool that we got. Because look, I was hyped.
That's the thing is there's nowhere to go.
I was hyped going into this international window because I was like, oh shit, like this could be good. But the thing is, he's not playing the players that he's calling up that are at that caliber that are better than an Eric Sanchez, an Eric Lira. Like those two should not be playing.
Pineda,
Pineda should not be playing. That is
Orozco.
Pineda is one of those players where you got to bring on because like you are like chasing a game and it's like the 95th minute and you got to put someone on type deal. Oh, it's so bad and it's so frustrating because I feel like if you play the midfield that everyone wants and you play certain attackers the way people want them to be played, I think Chino has to start. I know we talked about the wingers. You said that even with the wingers that are out, they're not going to make a difference. I think a Chino starting 11, I could see something happen. I think also something that was important to note is Luis Chavez is back from his ACL injury and is training with Moscow again. So, you know, he's a possible shout for a call-up later on, possibly. You know, it's highly unlikely, but there's a shout. And I don't know, like he could help out with midfield depth. I think he's still a good midfielder. I don't know what's going to be like after, you know, the ACL tear, but hopefully he's still as good as he was before because he was a massive piece before that. I don't know. It's just it's a lot of it's just so much like consistently getting it wrong. He's consistently getting it wrong, and there's no signs of improvement. Gallardo shouldn't be a part of the team. He really shouldn't. Bring someone else in. Arteaga's nowhere to be seen ever since Copa America, really. I mean, he played in Copa America, one game, and then that was it. I mean, my favorite Mateo Chavez, he got subbed off at half, I believe, against Uruguay, and then we never saw the man again. And then meanwhile, we see Gallardo play a full 90, and then he was shit. So it's like, it's so frustrating just because, like, he's not willing to change. He's not willing to change. He changes players, as in he replaces shit players with shittier players or the same level of shit, and then he's not giving the new kids a chance. And that's frustrating because it's like they should be given a chance because the shit and the shittier shit isn't working. So therefore, you should bring in some new shit and see what happens.
I am as critical as Aguirre as most. However, I think a lot of this, though, and it's okay to admit this for a lot of people watching, again, This team sucks. El Vasco can only do so much, and he's not doing that. Don't get me wrong. He is falling short of a lot of things here. But even if he could coach the team perfectly, I think this team still sucks. The player pool, the player personnel individually is not good. Think about past Mexican teams. Think about how they're able to put up fights against other teams. Mexico goes in the World Cup. Let's say they make the knockout rounds. You put them against a Portugal, a Netherlands, a Belgium, Norway, even a lot of these teams. At one point recently, it was a fairly realistic idea that Mexico could beat them. You put them against them now, no. I don't give them a shout. To be honest, this team sucks, and it is time to be harsh because you've left the Gold Cup. Which, hey, great, you can beat CONCACAF teams. You can beat the USA or Canada or these Honduras, whatever. That's cool, sure. It is very clear that this team gets way too content with that. And then you go into the next windows against these big teams, against these friendlies, and they can't get anything from it. Now, I will say for the record, a lot of these friendly games have been tough. They are tough opponents. These are really good opponents, which I will give credit to. They're testing themselves. But Mexico should be at a point where they can feasibly beat a lot of these teams. And they're just not. They're just not.
At least, dude, it's one of these things where it's like Mexico teams in past World Cups, except 2022, where you could argue on paper they were not a good side, right? You could argue on paper 2014, yeah, we had some amazing players, but overall wise, like on paper against other teams, not the best. But they still could compete. You know what I mean? Like they could still show up and compete. This team can't show up and compete. Even the lesser countries that I rank less. Like you look at Australia. In Australia, you on paper you'd think Australia okay, but Australia can compete against the big boys. Mm-hmm. They can compete because they play as a team. You watch this team and it's divided into 3 sections. It's the defense, midfield, and the attack, and you can clearly see because there's a massive ass gap every time they play together. And there's no cohesion going forward. And I don't know what happened in the Gold Cup because I thought we would very much improve after the Gold Cup. I really did. A lot of momentum. But I think you're right. They got complacent. Again, somehow.
Yeah.
Despite being a year, you think all that momentum coming from winning the Nations League, winning the Gold Cup, you think, okay, this is a breath. We found our groove, and we're going to continue going into this, carry all this momentum, play against the likes of Japan, South Korea, Paraguay, Ecuador, you know what I mean? And Colombia, and, show up and be like, okay, we're here to make a statement and be like, okay, to the entire world, be like, okay, we're here to play. We're hosting this World Cup and we have a shot of winning it. That's the mindset you would think you'd want from your players. Mora even said in an interview that he thinks we have a shot of winning the World Cup. And that's what I want to see. But based on the players' reactions, I was kind of with the players on the fans' reactions over in Mexico with the booing. But at the same time, I also agree with the fans after seeing that Paraguay game is you got to be able to take some criticism. You got to understand that these results are not acceptable. Yes, I understand these are hard teams. You may leave everything out there, but these results are not acceptable. In years past, with past teams, with the older generation, they knew what games were acceptable, what weren't. And they took full accountability. And some of these players are just trying to pass it off and be like, oh, whatever. It's the fans being too harsh. You know what I mean? It's time to take it. You know what I mean? It's time to take the criticism, be like, okay, we got to change things around. Because Mexican fans in Mexico are a different breed from Mexican fans in America.
But even then, Mexican American fans were booing too. Yeah,
no,
so
they got booed.
Everyone.
But I mean, as in Mexican fans are a lot more critical than Mexican American fans, and that's facts because they live the glory days of Mexico, and they expect that level of caliber every single time that team steps out, or at least the same fight as those past teams have. And these teams show up and they try and go through the motions. These past 2 games, they're going through the motions. There wasn't anything exciting happening, and these players, Gita said that in his interview that certain players showed that as much as they want to be here, they can't play at that level, and I think that was directed to a certain right winger, unfortunately. And certain players show up and then they're still not good enough. But I also think Agiti is just not helping at all in certain situations with the player selection, and I think there's time to turn it around. I really do, because it's not like we It's not
Well,
like
but
that Gold Cup was the Nations League and Gold Cup was like a massive fluke or something. You know what I mean? Like it
no,
wasn't
it's
like
not. It absolutely is
like
not.
don't get me wrong, yeah, you played a United States B side, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. You still beat the better teams, Nations League, you still beat a Canada. Like it wasn't a fluke. And then all of a sudden we went back to probably like what 2 years ago, before the Nations League, a year ago, a year and a half ago, before the Nations League, before the Gold Cup, where we were saying this Mexico team is shit, and all of a sudden they turned it around, and we're like, oh, maybe they got something, and then now we're back to square one, where we're like, this team is shit. Everyone is playing like shit. The only player that isn't playing like shit is a 16-year-old kid, which I'm not complaining, fantastic, but that says a lot of levels where a 16-year-old kid is outshining all our starters that are world famous players that everyone knows the names of, mostly if you're like a true football fan, obviously. The sucky part is like this is such a negative note to end on,
Yeah.
and you go back to March, and then you get March, April, May, June, and then you got 4 months to turn this shit around. Four
Well,
months and what,
that's what I'm.
6
That's why,
games?
like, there is no time to turn this around. These friendlies after the Gold Cup were supposed to be we're cementing ourselves as really good World Cup, a really good World Cup team. Maybe not contenders, but like we're gonna show that we can beat some of these teams going to the World Cup, and they can't. Literally, they didn't. Yeah, there were some good performances, but there were some pretty shit ones too. And going back to your momentum thing, there is too much momentum applied to Gold Cup and Nations League. Like this happens every time, and this has happened with the USA too. This is not just a solo Mexico thing. Is you win one of these tournaments against teams that, for the most part, can't really compete with you. As long as you get it over the USA, hey, we're doing really good now. All of a sudden, you win the Gold Cup, you win the Nations League. Oh yeah, we're great. We're gonna go into the World Cup feeling really good. And then you play some serious teams. No offense to CONCACAF teams. Obviously, we love all of you. You play some serious World Cup teams, and you can't show it. And it's not like you didn't show it once and then got it back the next one. No, you didn't show it here, then you didn't show it the next time, and then you haven't shown it again, and now you don't have an opportunity to show it for another third of a year. Like that is poor. It was a really poor way to end 2025 on. They can't go back to it. They have a January window, but it's not a true FIFA window. It's one of
You gotta
those.
try. No, I'm sorry, but you gotta try some players out. Like this is a time to try different youngsters. I know they're gonna call a lot of Liga MX players, but this is the time for Gita to be like, and Rafa Marquez as well. Like, I know you're the assistant manager, you're planning to take over for the 2030, but like you gotta like sit down with the Gita and be like, dude, like this is a problem. As a former captain of the national team, as well as an all-time legend, you got to be like, this is unacceptable too. You know what I mean? Like you got to be like, okay, we got to fix something. But you still calling Ochoa. He's vibing. See what happens. You still try. You try out. This is what you do. You try out a left back. You try out another right back. You try out different midfielders. See what happens. And then you try out Gonzalez because he only played 20 minutes, maybe if that, and he didn't even get the ball.
Minutes. Yeah.
He didn't even get the ball, so you can't even say he played bad. He just never got an opportunity. And then you try out left wingers and right wingers to see what happens. This is your chance to try out something different. Fill that bench. Fill the team with some squad depth that you can rely on. Be like, okay, this is like you got to take advantage of it. Yes, you're not going to be able to call the high caliber players, but you're going to be able to call players that hopefully can play an impact. Maybe call some U20 players. I don't know. Call somebody. Maybe some kids from the U17 team at this point. Honestly, like you got to try something to change this team up. I just. It's desperate times. That's the thing. It's getting too close to the World Cup to not.
And
try
there's been no improvement. There's been no improvement. And like as much, I fully agree with you on in January. Obviously, you got Fidalgo coming in, who just recently switched from Spain to Mexico, playing in Liga MX. He's probably going to get game time there. You got some other youngsters from Liga MX who are going to play there. Like that's a positive, yes. But at the same time, I think it's okay to realize even those players aren't good enough for this team. This team is not good enough for the 2026 World Cup. For the home host of the 2026 World Cup, that should, and it could have trended this way too, where Mexico could have been a really good team here and had something going at home. And that might be their best positive. Their best advantage is the fact they're playing at home. And even then, what's going to happen is in that first group game when you're playing against some random team and you get a draw in Mexico, the whole stadium's going to be booing you. Like that is the scenario that Mexico found themselves in. again, this team's not good enough. There are good players. Yes, don't get me wrong. As a whole, this team does not have what it takes to be good enough against the world's best, which you need to be here. And don't be shocked for a very disappointing World Cup to some people. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. Anything can happen, but there is a good chance that Mexico gets grouped or makes it to the round of 32 and doesn't make it past that. And that would be a disappointment. Regardless of how you view this team, that is a disappointment. This team has a lot of areas to improve on. We don't have time to see it, meaning to me, they're not going to. El Vasco is not going to change in the next 4 months because he hasn't in the past 10 years for this Mexico team, which is very clear as day. I think if I was a Mexico fan, all I'm really waiting for at this point is Rafa Marquez's run as manager. I think that is all the signs of being something really good. Knowing him, knowing what he's going to be pushing for and the youth and whatnot, I think that could be really good. Right now, you have to deal with Aguirre, and it looks like he's going to be the World Cup manager, which is fine, but there is a lot of shortcomings, obviously. If we didn't cover something, and I'm sure anyone could find another negative that we didn't cover, let us know in the comments down below. And if you can happen to find a positive, also let us know down below after this November window. There is a lot wrong with this team. That's fairly obvious. And if, let us know any other opinion you might have in the comments down below. Come March, we probably will be doing live streams for those games, content for those games, content leading up to those games in January as well. So make sure to subscribe for that. Leave a like if you agree with us that Mexico is in the mud right now. My name is Elijah. That was Andres. We are Getting Football. We'll see you guys in a future video. Take care.